Bioweapons, my old friend, it's time to talk to you again. We've made previous videos on this topic, including gain-of-function gaslighting and gain-of-function garbage, and my husband Mark has covered it in several articles. We've pointed out that some of those promoting lab leaks and bioweapons may not be aware that the virologist claims have been dismantled and found to be fallacious. However, even in the health freedom community, many continue to ramp up the fear, asserting that not only do pathogenic viruses exist, but they are being engineered in labs.
In 1999, I was working in Fort Detrick in USAMRIID there, and my job was to teach Ebola how to infect human cells without killing them. Ebola couldn't infect human cells until we took it in the laboratories and taught him.
Unfortunately, this plays straight back into the hands of the fraudsters who staged COVID-19 and other fake pandemics. The belief in viruses and contagion more widely will continue to be used to keep the population in a state of confusion, anxiety, and susceptibility to control. So let's have another look at why bioweapons, as promoted, are nothing more than fairy tales with no basis in scientific reality.
But now the virus comes here and 2 kids die, and we could have stopped it right then and there, but we don't because we have to protect the perfect biological weapon. But then the virus mutates and we can't stop it now, and we could have then.
In 1999, Ken Allebeck published his book Biohazard, the chilling true story of the largest covert biological weapons program in the world. Allebeck was formerly known as Kanatsan Alabekov, and he claimed to have run top-secret biological weapons programs in the Soviet Union before defecting to the United States in 1992. Biohazard was promoted by the mainstream media, including the New York Times, and caused a stir of concern around the world. Allebeck claimed that he had worked on weaponization of smallpox, plague, Marburg virus, and anthrax. But what was the actual evidence for these alleged dangerous pathogens? In his book, he offers the convenient excuse that the records from a secret test facility on Rebirth Island no longer exist. But based on his stories, Allebeck made allies with US government officials as early as 1991 and became a consultant for intelligence agencies. However, by the early 2000s, some were starting to question his reports, particularly after he had publicly declared that there was, quote, no doubt that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. This narrative was of course false, but was one of the excuses used to launch another war in the Middle East. Additionally, it was revealed that Allebeck and the entities that hired him in the biodefense sector had received federal contracts totaling around $28 million. In other words, selling the fear of bioweapons was highly profitable for Allebeck, as documented by investigative journalist David Willman in a Los Angeles Times article circa 2007. Also, rather suspiciously, Allebeck had a generally favourable Wikipedia page, with the disinformation site actively promoting his various claims about bioweapons. Allebeck now works with a company called Locus Fermentation Solutions, but he recently appeared with Dr. Peter McCulloch in an interview about the origins of COVID-19. The pair promoted lab-engineered pathogens within the pseudoscientific paradigm of virology.
It was really clear that no one was really prepared for this to get outside the lab in Wuhan, China, maybe outside of Ralph Barrick and Vineet Menachery and Dr. Shingri Li. She's the bat lady. It's interesting, Ralph Barrick, who knows the most about coronaviruses probably in the entire United States or world, he should be on TV every night trying to help America get out of this mess. This guy is the quietest person in the world. You never hear from him.
That kind of talk would bring a smile to the face of globalist frontman Bill Gates, who can't even keep a straight face when trying to talk about imaginary bioweapons.
Bioweapons, that's a really bad thing, that we shouldn't have technology for that.
Alright, let's have a look at the actual science of bioweapons. One of the scariest narratives in the world of virology is Ebola, also known as Ebola hemorrhagic fever, with a supposed death rate of 50% and a massive Wikipedia page. This is something that they want you to know all about. In 2002, this paper titled Hemorrhagic Fever, Viruses as Biological Weapons appeared in the Journal of the American Medical Association. They claimed that Ebola viruses were on their watch list because of the following key features. 1. High morbidity and mortality. 2. Potential for person-to-person transmission. 3. Low infective dose and highly infectious by aerosol dissemination. 4. Effective vaccine unavailable or available only in limited supply.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
5. Potential to cause public and healthcare worker anxiety. 6. Availability of pathogen or toxin. 7. Feasibility of large-scale production. 8. Environmental stability. And 9. Prior research and development as a biological weapon. We'll see that of these, the only thing they have in reality is point 5, that is causing anxiety in people's minds who believe that bioweapons actually exist. Humorously, the paper cites Alibek's book Biohazard as evidence of bioweapons programs. But in order to have an actual Ebola bioweapon, you have to have a virus first. So let's have a look at the evidence on offer. The quote virus is alleged to be so infectious that coming into contact with any body fluid is enough to allow its transmission. However, despite this claimed infectiousness, the outbreaks are limited to small-scale sporadic occurrences in destitute West African countries, where there are many other environmental reasons why people get sick in clusters. At this point, you may see the Joker card in the form of a famous case, such as Jeffrey Platt. He was a British laboratory technician who was said to be the first incidence of Ebola in a first world country. In 1976, while working in the Porton Down Microbiological Research Lab, Platt pricked his thumb with a liver sample from a guinea pig said to be infected with the virus. Initially, they reported he was alert and did not seem to be particularly ill. However, over the next week, he developed all sorts of symptoms, including sweating, fevers, diarrhea and vomiting, altered mental state, and protein in his urine. It all sounds pretty dramatic and was put down to the quote virus that was attacking him. Except there's a bit more to consider with the story. First, there was no bleeding, so it wasn't a hemorrhagic fever. Second, if you read the quote treatments they were administering, you will see that not only did they give him 2 infusions of serum on days 3 and 6, but they were also injecting him with interferon twice daily for 14 days.